Hi and welcome back to the if statements coding exercise. This is going to be the most complex coding exercise so far, and it requires us to modify an existing method. And that is the user even method here. So we have to ask the user for a number, print it's even if the user entered an even number, or it's odd if the user entered an odd number. Even numbers are 2, 4, 6, 8, and so on. Odd numbers are 1, 3, 5, 7, and so on. Remember, the user input is going to come back as a string. We're going to have to convert it to an integer. And finally, it tells us that we can use the divisible function if we want. The divisible function is defined up here. The divisible function takes two numbers as arguments, num1 and num2. So whenever we call this function, we're going to give it two numbers, and it's going to return whether the remainder of the two numbers is equal to 0. So there's a bit more of an explanation here. Divisible with 6 and 2 returns true, because 6 divided by 2 is 3 with no remainder, no value left over. However, if we call divisible with 7 and 2, it's going to return false, because 7 divided by 2 is 3 but with 1 left over, 1 remainder. 7 divided by 2 gives us the value 3, and there is one number there left that isn't divisible. Similarly, 14 and 4 returns false, because 14 divided by 4 is 3 with 2 remainder. So what the modulus, this operator here, this percent operator, the modulus operator does is it calculates the remainder of the division between num1 and num2. So num1 divided by num2 gives us a value with a remainder. And if that remainder is equal to 0, then this returns true. If it's not equal to 0, it returns false. Okay? So let's begin with our user even function here. We're going to ask the user for a number, enter a number. We are going to convert it to an int, and then we're going to say that it's even if the number is even, and it's odd if the number is not even. So if divisible into number and 2, we're going to print it's even, else we're going to print it's odd. Now, let's explain a bit more what's happening here. We're asking the user for a number. For example, they can enter 5. We convert that to an integer and we put it inside the int number variable, which now contains the value 5. Then we say, if the result of this function is true, we're going to print it's even. This function then gets evaluated with 5 and 2. So num1 is 5, num2 is 2. We divide num1 by num2, 5 divided by 2, and that gives us 2 remainder 1. And the modulus operator is only focused on the remainder, so num1 modulus num2 is the remainder of the division operation, which is equal to 1. So 1 equal to 0 is false, because they are not equal. So this returns false. Therefore, this is false. We do not run it's even, instead we run it's odd. And that's what we print out. If instead they enter the number 4, then we call divisible with 4 and 2. 4 divided by 2 is 2 remainder 0. So the remainder here is 0 equal 0, that's true, and we print out it's even. Let's check the solution. And as you can see, it's all correct. What we've done here is we've used an existing function, divisible, to calculate whether something is true or not. In this case, whether the number is even. So hopefully this was useful, and I'll see you on the very next video.